So the A45 S is one of the most powerful hot hatches that you can currently buy, but against the RS3, is this the one to have, or have all of the hot hatches gone a bit too far? So 420 horsepower, 4MATIC Plus and a 2-litre engine that sounds like it's permanently on espresso. And let's be honest, it looks the part. Big brakes, quad pipes, aggressive stance, and finished in this denim blue with the Aero pack, this one's a definite head turner. And when you compare it with an RS3 which still manages to look quite clean, the A45 S is pure attitude. Now moving into the interior, compared to an RS3, I would say the RS3 looks a bit more grown up. I'm not going to knock it because I quite like those bits, but if I just step in quickly so you guys can see what I see, I would say the RS3 might just be a tad bit more grown up, but I'll touch on that in just a bit. But for a hot hatch, have a look at this. Heated seats, you've got memory seats with 3 different modes for 3 different drivers. On the interior here, it looks very similar to most Mercedes nowadays, the newer ones. And just down here, you can see we've got adaptive suspension and a button to either have the exhaust flaps stay open or just activate upon throttle pressure. But this is where I feel it gets a bit immature. And for some people, it might be great, but for some people, it might just be a bit too much tech for a hot hatch. But when I turn this bad boy on, have a look at this. You've got these little knobs here that you can just twist to go all the way into your favorite modes. You can change to manual or have the gearbox in automatic, and you can set this to be either auto switch off when you get to traffic lights and you decide to stop, or you can just deactivate it just like that. So it might be a bit gimmicky for people, but it definitely serves a purpose. However, overall, I've got to admit that this cabin is a very nice place to be. And the moment of truth, having a hot hatch with rear doors means that you probably do intend to have people in the back. I've just set my seat up for somebody that stands at 5'11", and how will I get on? Okay, entry. Oh, okay. Quite surprisingly, there's a bit of space here. I can still wiggle my toes. Which is good. Knee space, quite a lot. Bearing in mind that the backs are flat on this, which is good, meaning I have a bit of space. So overall, being in the back here isn't too bad. And I've got quite a lot of headspace as well. So win-win in terms of comfort, space. Features, maybe a bit too much. But again, I do like the fact just down there you've got physical buttons, none of that touchscreen malarkey all the time. And looking at the boot space, it's good. It's the average size you'd expect for a hot hatch. Maybe not as big as a Golf, but this versus a Golf, I know which one I'd want to choose. So quite frankly, I thought these days were done. These days. But Mercedes said, no, they're not, because the last hot hatch that I remember, apart from, of course, the RS3, that really showed off with the numbers was the M140i. This is literally giving you 200 horsepower per litre. 2 litre, 200 horsepower, 420, just round it up to that. That is plenty, and of course, it's a new car, hence why we have the buzzing bee in our ear that doesn't sound the greatest, but if you can move past that, what we have here is actually a rather decent hot hatch. And I use the word decent probably as an understatement. This is a good hot hatch. Now what's cool is that this has got the reliable 4MATIC system, which means that it's gonna grip all day long as far as you're not stupid. But it also has something called torque vectoring, and what that does is it shifts the power to the wheel that needs it the most, normally the outer wheel. So for example, if we let this forward transit go ahead just a tad and then absolutely nail it, when I come to a bend, it's going to go from running these 2 rear wheels hard to then the right, and then as I turn to the right, the left. Not that you needed that explaining, I just thought it'd be a great opportunity to push on. So in terms of being a car that you could potentially use on a track, it can do that. And it of course has an actual track mode. So on this little infotainment screen here, you've got preloaded most of the tracks in the UK. I saw Silverstone. It's ready for whatever you want to throw at it. And because it's an AMG, when you do go through the gears, it does try and give you pops and crackles, which of course is through the speakers because of Greta Thunberg. But I quite like the sound of that. It of course is not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but these are the days that we're living in, and if it means I have to have this through the speakers to still be able to have a car that performs the way this does, as much as some people might not agree, I'd take this. We're gonna have to, guys. So this or an RS3 is tricky. The RS3, again, it's an Audi, so it's refined, it's bulletproof, it's solid. The AMGs have always tried to be, in my opinion and my experience anyway, a bit more raw, a bit less controllable, as opposed to the RS3, just point it and go. Similar to the Golf R, they call that the point and go. This is a bit more loose, and depending on how equipped you are as a driver, you might prefer this. And while the RS3 has that beautiful 2.55 pot, the 2 pot in this obviously isn't going to win awards for the best sounding, but how they've managed to eke this sort of performance from a 2 litre, I have no idea. Of course, the Golf R, similar car, similar in terms of what it offers, but this is a step above with the looks and definitely the performance. And in terms of grip, in every situation, everything just feels instant. The RS3, the Golf R, again, great cars, but they're just a bit too tight unless you put them in their drift modes and you're going some. I like the way that I feel this, although 4matic, it makes me feel like I'm in control. And dialing things back into comfort, cruising at 52 miles an hour, we're at 8th gear here. The suspension is nice and soft, as it is most of the time, because with most of these cars, if they have the individual feature like this does, I want to use that because I can dial the suspension back all the way into soft, but still have all of the responsiveness of the race or the sports mode. And with this cruising, I'm quite sure you could eke about 40 mpg on a long run. Tell me this can't do it all. So if we were going, say, point to point, what car would I want to be in? Personally, I would want to be in this, because I know with this 8th gear, I'd still have enough fuel to play around with once I get to my destination. Sure, the RS3 is a great car, but the ability to do both is always key, and take nothing away from it. It's a great car, but this, with the new technology and the fact that it's got luxury in mind, being a Mercedes, this could definitely tick a box for me. And if we're being honest, most of you. So has this car gone too far? Yes. Reason I say that is because this car probably has more spec than some saloons. This is a hot hatch. It shouldn't have this much power. It shouldn't have this much technology, but I'm not the one who's complaining. I just feel that it shouldn't be. Let's just be very clear here. The price that this car was new would have been crazy or eye-watering to look at. However, this car you can pick up used from FDR Performance. So if you are interested in this car, make sure you check out the link down below for this car or any other car that might tickle your fancy. But tickling my fancy right now is this B road ahead of me. So I think it's about time that I say goodbye. And before I do that, I'll give you one more send. 3rd gear pull. Wait for it, and it comes in. It's a bit loose, but hey, that's how I like it. Wow.